Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, our mission is really laser-focused. We're going deep into the technology landscape of Maharashtra.
We are.
And we're specifically looking at everything that was happening around May of 2025. All the policy shifts, the new investments. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is, and this is such a critical moment. The sources we're drawing from are, well, they're dense, but they're brilliant. We're looking at the Economic Survey of Maharashtra, but also these huge forward-looking documents.
Like the new Global Capability Center policy, right?
Exactly that, and we're connecting it all to this massive national push, the Research Development and Innovation Scheme, the RDI scheme.
Okay, so let's break this down for you. Our goal here is really twofold. First, we're going to synthesize what's happening on the ground, the performance, the investment strategies.
And these are aggressive strategies.
Very aggressive. And second, we need to examine how the talent pipeline and, critically, the labor laws are being completely retooled for this high-value IT sector right now.
Yeah.
So this is basically your inside track on the economic engine of the subcontinent.
And that engine analogy is, it's not an exaggeration. The scale is just immense. I mean, when you look at the basic economic data, Maharashtra is still the undisputed powerhouse.
Still number one.
You just have to acknowledge it. It commands the highest share in the all-India nominal gross state domestic product, the GSDP. We're talking about a staggering 13.5% for 2023-24.
Stop on that for a second. A 13.5% share. That means what, roughly 1 in every 7 rupees generated across all of India's states comes from Maharashtra.
Pretty much.
That sheer scale is why every little policy shift here has national, even global ripples.
Absolutely. And it's not just about size, it's about value. When you look at the projections, they reinforce this. The per capita state income for 2024-25 is estimated at about $3,009,340. That's a strong indicator that the economy isn't just big, it's geared towards high income generation, which, demands that specialized, highly paid talent that the IT sector absolutely thrives on.
That's fascinating context. So let's narrow the lens a bit to the IT footprint itself. We always hear about states like Karnataka grabbing the headlines. So how does Maharashtra actually stack up in the tech space?
They're a very, very close second. It's really neck and neck, and they consistently demonstrate incredible market depth. Maharashtra ranks second nationally, right after Karnataka, in software exports from units registered with the STPI.
The software technology parks of India.
Right. And that ranking alone is just testament to its mature, robust ecosystem.
And when you look at the actual volume of activity, I mean, the numbers stop sounding like statistics and start sounding more like national budgets.
They really do.
Yeah.
The latest figures we have up to March 2024 show software exports hitting a monumental 7,047,075 crore.
Just an unbelievable number.
Think about the scale of services that represents. And that revenue, it correlates directly to massive investment in infrastructure and, of course, jobs. We're talking about something like 23.65 lakh jobs in the sector.
Okay, so we've established the ecosystem is not just foundational, it's operating at this almost unimaginable scale. But as you said, the real story now is the shift from just volume to high-value activity.
Yeah.
You don't attract that kind of capital by accident, do you?
Not at all.
You need the right environment. So let's talk about that infrastructure of investment, the whole ease of doing business idea.
This is where you can see the intentional policy changes really bearing fruit. The state has been so aggressive about simplifying regulations, and it shows. Maharashtra was recognized as a top achiever in the DPIIT's Business Reform Action Plan.
BRAP 2022.
Yes, and they got this award at the Udyog Samagam 2024 conference.
Top achiever sounds great on a press release, but what does it actually mean for a company? For a firm trying to set up a new IT park or global capability center, what does that award signal to them?
It signals efficiency. It signals predictability. It means the state has actually done the hard work of implementing a high percentage of necessary business reforms, especially streamlining all that bureaucracy.
So less red tape.
A lot less. And it's not just a domestic assessment. International observers are saying the same thing. The UK-India Business Council report from 2022 gave Maharashtra a very positive score, a 3.33 out of 5 for having a conducive business environment. So partners are noticing.
And the most concrete example of that simplification is the digital platform every single firm has to deal with, right? The MA3I single window system.
Correct. MI2RI, it stands for Maharashtra Industry, Trade, and Investment Facilitation Cell. That's been the state's single window system since the MI2RI Act was passed in July 2023. It's the government's front door.
What's really interesting here is they didn't just launch it and walk away. Right around our focus period, they rolled out a huge upgrade. We're talking about the MAI-TRI Portal 2.0, which launched on February 4, 2024. How did that change things?
The 2.0 version was a major leap forward in digital governance. It really streamlined the registration process and properly integrated all the different government-to-business services into one place.
And they added new tools.
They did, and they're tools designed to help businesses navigate all the complexity.
Like what, specifically?
So the key features are, first, a dynamic MA-TARI wizard, which kind of guides you through the process based on your specific industry. Then there's an AI chatbot for instant support.
Which is a huge tell. That shows a real commitment to digital.
It is. And maybe the most valuable tool is an incentive calculator.
An incentive calculator, so you can see what you're eligible for.
Instantly. It lets a business immediately assess what state benefits or tax incentives they might qualify for based on their planned investment, how many jobs they'll create. It just removes a massive amount of guesswork and delay.
So instead of hiring a team of consultants just to figure out what you might get, a global company can literally use a chatbot and a calculator to get clarity. That speed, that transparency, It's a huge competitive advantage. And the numbers back this up, don't they?
They do. Up to December 2024, MAI-TRI had received something like 3,021,400 applications. But here's the key stat. The disposal rate is phenomenal. 3,013,939 of those applications were disposed of.
That's a near 98% disposal rate.
And that is what attracts investment.
Yeah.
It proves the government moves quickly and predictably. It kills the uncertainty that businesses hate.
Okay, so the digital environment is streamlined, but the physical footprint still matters. You mentioned earlier the IT ecosystem is highly concentrated. Where is all this infrastructure actually located?
Right. So when we look at the 628 approved private IT parks as of December 2024, the density is clearly in that traditional economic triangle. Pune is just a massive hub. It leads with 220 approved parks.
In Mumbai.
The volume around the capital region is staggering. If you combine Mumbai City and its suburban areas with Thane, you're looking at a whopping 392 parks. That's 196 in the main city and suburbs, and another 196 in Thane.
That kind of concentration is great for, talent pooling and networking, but it also creates immense pressure, high real estate costs, infrastructure strain, the traffic.
Exactly, the traffic. And the government knows that for sustained long-term growth, you need smart, deliberate decentralization. That's why the conversation has to move beyond just Mumbai and Pune to these new high-tech industrial corridors.
Which brings us to a project that feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie. The Shendra Bidkin Industrial Area, UREIC, in Chhatrapati Sambhajinagar. This isn't just a new business park, they're building a new city from scratch.
It's the definition of a greenfield industrial township. It's over 10,000 acres, a key node on the Delhi-Mumbai industrial corridor. And the vision isn't just an industrial park. It's a fully integrated, high-tech city designed to attract those top-tier global companies.
What makes it high-tech for a company looking to move in, say, an IT firm?
It's all about being plug and play. They've integrated everything, dedicated power grids, underground utilities, integrated road networks. But for IT, the tech layer is what matters most. UREIC has a citywide Wi-Fi network.
The whole city.
The whole city. A central command and control room for real-time monitoring of all services and comprehensive e-governance systems built right into the fabric of the place. You can basically move in and start working with minimal delay.
That kind of intentional design, focusing on connectivity from day one, it must be paying off. Are companies buying into this mission? Are they moving away from the old hubs?
They absolutely are. The investment figures prove it. Up to November 2024, UREIC had already attracted investments totaling 60,376 crore, with land allotted for over 1,000 hectares. Well, that translates to an employment potential of over 35,000 jobs.
So the strategy is working. Decentralize, but upgrade the quality of the infrastructure at the same time.
It's demonstrably working.
Okay, so we have the digital front end with MAI-TRI 2.0 and the physical expansion with UREIC. Now let's pivot to the grand strategy guiding all this. This brings us right to the game-changing policy for IT in Maharashtra. The Global Capability Center Policy, or GCC Policy 2025.
This policy is such a crucial signal. It shows Maharashtra is adapting to how technology is evolving globally. For years, GCCs, these are basically captive R&D centers run by multinationals, were seen as cost center.
The back office stuff, right?
That-
Payroll, IT support.
Exactly, transactional work, basic software maintenance. But that role has fundamentally shifted, hasn't it? The talent pool in India is just too sophisticated now to be stuck doing back office work.
For sure.
Precisely. The GCCs have moved way beyond being just captive service units. They are now innovation and R&D hubs for global corporations. They're driving digital transformation, advanced analytics, specialized engineering, you name it. The GCC Policy 2025 is designed specifically to capture that higher value work.
So how does the policy do that? Is it just like bigger tax breaks for bigger R&D projects?
It's much more holistic than that. The policy's core pillars are built around creating a whole supportive ecosystem. It's about providing easy access to that vast skilled manpower pool, which we'll talk about, and ensuring sector-specific infrastructure is there.
And it links them to local R&D institutions.
Most importantly, yes. It actively fosters research-driven innovation by creating those links. It's a complete development strategy.
What seems really intelligent about this is that it's not just focused on pure IT companies. It's actively trying to align IT growth with these so-called sunrise sectors. Why is that so important?
Because the future of innovation isn't in silos. The policy aims to create these specialized clusters where IT capabilities are deeply integrated with hard tech and future-ready sectors.
So you're connecting software engineers directly with, say, challenges in aerospace.
Or automotive and electric vehicles, renewable energy, data centers. By embedding IT talent into these massive manufacturing and energy transitions, Maharashtra makes sure its tech output isn't generic. It becomes highly specialized and much more valuable.
And you can see the immediate global confidence this vision generated by looking at the World Economic Forum in Davos earlier in 2025.
Maharashtra's presence at WEF 2025 was a spectacular success. They signed a massive 63 memorandums of understanding, MOUs, and the capital commitment. That's what demands attention. These MOUs were valued at an astonishing 15.73 lakh crore.
Okay, let's just take a breath on that number. 15.73 lakh crore. It's almost impossible to even visualize that kind of capital flowing into one state. That isn't just investment. That's a vote of confidence on a global scale.
It really is. And the employment potential tied to that capital is just as staggering, an expected generation of about 15.96 lakh jobs. And when you look at the diversity of these investments, they perfectly mirror that integrated GCC strategy we were just talking about.
So where did the money go?
It was across the board. Major injections into IT, huge pushes into green energy, significant capital for automobiles and EVs, electronics manufacturing, and very specialized investments in aerospace and defense.
So they're deliberately diversifying the high-tech portfolio.
Exactly. They're ensuring the IT workforce doesn't just depend on one sector, but acts as the digital backbone for all these strategic industries.
That shift is so crucial, moving from being just a service provider to an integrated innovation partner. And this context is essential because this state-level ambition is being massively amplified by a huge national mandate for R&D funding.
Right. This moves us into deep tech and a landmark central government approval that really shapes the long-term outlook for Maharashtra's high-tech industry from the second half of 2025 onward.
We're talking about the Research, Development, and Innovation, or RDI, scheme. Now, the Union Cabinet approved this centrally in July 2025, so just after our core focus months of May. But the anticipation for this fund would have been the single biggest topic in every tech boardroom in Mumbai and Pune throughout May.
Without a doubt, the financial commitment alone makes it historic. A total outlay of 1.0 lakh crore over 6 years. And for this financial year, FY 2025-26, they allocated 20,000 crore. This fund isn't for basic science. It's a strategic economic tool designed to turbocharge private sector R&D.
To bring products to market.
Exactly.
But why is a fund this big necessary? Doesn't the private sector already fund its own R&D?
It does, but historically, India's R&D intensity, that's the percentage of GDP spent on research, has lagged, especially in the corporate sector compared to other big economies. The RDI scheme is designed to fix that, to incentivize the private sector to scale up RDI in these critical sunrise domains.
And the scheme is really specific about which projects it funds, isn't it? It targets these high technology readiness levels, or TRLs. We should explain what that means.
Right. So TRLs are basically a scale from 1 to 9. TRL 1 is a basic research idea, and TRL 9 is a fully commercialized product. The RDI scheme explicitly finances projects at TRL 4 and above.
Okay, so TRL 1 is a sketch on a napkin. TRL 9 is the car rolling off the assembly line.
Right.
What does TRL 4 actually look like?
TRL4 is when you have the fundamental components integrated and tested in a lab. So if you're developing a new high-efficiency EV engine, TRL1 is the equation. TRL4 means you have a functional prototype running successfully on a test bench in the lab.
So it proves the concept works.
It proves the concept works. And that's where the RDI funding kicks in. To take that prototype through real-world testing and get it to market, it funds the most expensive, most risky part of the development cycle.
And to support these high-risk ventures, the scheme also sets up a deep tech fund of funds.
Which is a critical financial mechanism. Deep tech ventures, things like quantum computing or specialized robotics, they require patient capital. They don't give you a return in 18 months. It might take a decade. This fund of funds helps de-risk those long-term investments for private players.
So if Maharashtra is using its GCC policy to integrate IT with these sunrise sectors, what are the exact domains the RDI scheme is targeting?
The list is basically the government's roadmap for the next decade. It's heavy on deep technology, so quantum computing, robotics, space tech. It also targets AI and its applications in health, agriculture, education, biotech, pharma, medical devices are huge. And finally, the digital economy. These are the explicit growth areas Maharashtra's IT talent needs to prepare for.
Building this kind of advanced R&D ecosystem requires more than just money, though. You need massive computational power. That's where the National Supercomputing Mission comes in.
Yes, the NSM has been highly effective. They've already deployed 39 petaflops of supercomputing power across 37 locations. This provides the high-performance computing, or HPC, infrastructure that R&D institutions in Maharashtra can tap into.
And just to be clear, why does, say, an EV component manufacturer need a petaflop supercomputer?
For complex simulations, if you're designing a new material for a lighter aircraft part or modeling the structural integrity of a new type of battery, you need massive parallel processing. You just can't do that on a standard server. HPC is non-negotiable for breakthroughs in the very sectors Maharashtra is targeting.
And at the grassroots level, you have to find and nurture the innovators who will actually use all this. That's the job of the NIDHI program.
Right, the National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovations. NIDHI's expansion is crucial because it aligns perfectly with that decentralization strategy we talked about. The program is specifically setting up 8 new inclusive technology business incubators and 10 entrepreneur and residence centers.
And by pushing these into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, they're trying to capture innovation that might otherwise get lost outside of Mumbai and Pune.
Exactly. It complements projects like AUREC. So when companies move into these new industrial corridors, there's an immediate local ecosystem of startups and mentorship waiting for them.
It's a complete circle.
It is. And the power of this is already visible. We're seeing institutes like the S N Bose National Center achieve breakthroughs in quantum advantage. That is pure deep tech. We're seeing developments in artificial synapses, which is opening up new horizons for brain-like computer chips.
Or look at the Jawaharlal Nehru Center, developing stress detection systems using wearable devices and pioneering sodium-ion batteries. These are tangible innovations the RDI scheme is designed to scale up.
The entire system is being optimized for this.
And this is where it gets really interesting, especially if you were on the ground in May 2025. Cultivating talent. All this capital and infrastructure is useless without the human pipeline. So what was actually happening in May 2025 to feed these ambitions?
This is why the timing is so important. The state is focusing on highly targeted, industry-oriented training. We're talking about skill development sponsored by Amar Pune and conducted by the gold standard CDAX, the Center for Development of Advanced Computing.
And the timing here is undeniable.
Yeah.
If you were an aspirational young person in Maharashtra in May, this was your shot.
This was your immediate entry point. The registration for the CCAT entrance test for their flagship postgraduate diploma courses was open from May 27 to June 25, 2025. That specific window was the opportunity for the specialized training that directly feeds these high-demand areas.
Who was this training aimed at? And was it just in Pune and Mumbai?
It was aimed at being inclusive, specifically targeting open and economically weaker section youth. And significantly, the training centers are spread out. You have them in Karad, Mumbai, Nagpur, Nashik, Navi Mumbai, and Pune. So talent acquisition is statewide.
And beyond that immediate CDAC window, there are broader programs too, right?
Yes, there's the Pramod Mahajan Kaushalya Udyogakat Vikas Abhiyan, PMKU-VA, and another for rural areas. These are designed to bridge the gap between academic theory and practical industry demands to make graduates job ready.
Okay, so we built the ecosystem, funded the R&D, started training the talent. Now let's get to a massive structural change that alters the cost of employment for every single tech firm in Maharashtra. The implementation of the 4 new central labor codes in 2025.
This is arguably the biggest regulatory shockwave in decades. If you were in HR or finance in Mumbai or Pune in May, this would have dominated your entire agenda. It has profound financial and operational implications.
Let's start with the biggest one, the gig economy. Tech companies rely so heavily on platform workers. How do these new codes impact it?
For the very first time, Social Security coverage is formally and explicitly extended to include gig workers and platform workers. This pulls millions of people who are in a legal gray area into the formal system. For tech aggregators, this is a major, major shift.
And it's not just recognizing them, there's a direct financial contribution they have to make.
The financial impact is substantial. Aggregators may be required to contribute 1 to 2% of their annual turnover toward a Social Security fund for these workers, and that contribution is capped at 5% of the total payments made to those workers.
Let's make that real. If you're a massive food delivery platform doing billions in turnover in Maharashtra, even 1% of that is a completely new, massive operational cost that just didn't exist before 2025.
Exactly. This directly increases the cost of using flexible labor. HR and finance teams would have been scrambling in May to model this, recalculate their P&Ls. It forces a fundamental rethink of the labor arbitrage strategy.
And that's compounded by another huge change, the uniform definition of wages across all the new codes. This affects everyone.
It affects every single salary structure in the state. Historically, companies, including a lot of IT firms, would structure salaries to keep the basic pay component low.
To minimize their statutory contribution.
Right, because things like gratuity and ESI are calculated as a percentage of that basic pay. So you keep basic pay low, inflate the allowances, and you control your costs.
A very common loophole. So what does the new definition change?
It mandates that a certain minimum percentage of your total pay must be classified as wages for calculating those entitlements. This forces every IT firm to completely revamp their compensation packages. If you previously defined only 40% of salary as basic, the new law might force you to define a minimum of, say, 50% or more as wages.
And when that base calculation goes up, the cost of all those entitlements, gratuity, ESI, it automatically goes up with it.
That's the core takeaway. For employers, it's a mandatory restructuring that results in a likely increase in overall employment costs. This really hits the financial models of firms relying on sheer labor volume.
But on a completely positive note, these codes also bring in a massive transformation for women's employment opportunities, right?
This is a crucial expansion of the talent pool. The new provisions explicitly permit women to work in night shifts and in all types of work across all establishments.
As long as they consent and safety is provided.
Exactly. The only stipulations are consent and that the employer provides safety, security, and transport.
Historically, those restrictions on night work blocked women from so many high-paying, global-facing tech roles. The exact kind of jobs these new GCCs specialize in.
The removal of those barriers is a double win. It provides women equal opportunities for higher incomes. And for the state, which is trying to be a global tech hub, maximizing access to half your population's talent is an economic imperative. You need them to fill the jobs created by that 15.73 lakh crore of investment.
We've covered a huge amount of ground here, from macroeconomics to digital infrastructure, R&D funding, talent pipelines, and compliance challenges. Let's try and pull all these threads together for the listener.
The central theme is absolutely clear. Maharashtra's IT sector in mid-2025 is defined by an aggressive, ambitious pivot toward high-value, R&D-driven services.
And that high-value pivot is supported by the GCC Policy 2025, which strategically connects IT services with those hard tech sectors like EVs and aerospace, a strategy that brought in that staggering 15.73 lakh crore in funding commitments at WEF.
And that state strategy is being supercharged by the central government's 1.0 lakh crore RDI scheme, which is designed to take functional prototypes and rush them to commercial reality.
And then operationally, right in May 2025, the state was feeding that high-tech talent pipeline. The registration window for CDEX IT skill courses was open, ensuring a steady supply of specialized talent.
And the final crucial layer is the implementation of the new labor codes. This formalizes the gig economy, increases labor costs through mandatory contributions and standardized wages, but also critically unlocks high-paying night shift roles for women.
So what does this convergence of deep strategy, heavy investment, and radical regulatory change mean when we look forward?
Well, if you connect the dots. The expansion of Social Security to gig workers, coupled with the standardized wages for the traditional workforce. It marks a significant, unavoidable increase in the operational cost of labor for tech companies.
So the era of just relying on labor arbitrage, the simple strategy of profiting by minimizing employment costs, is becoming more regulated and therefore more expensive.
Which leads to a final provocative thought for you to consider. As these labor laws standardize and costs go up, will this growing regulatory pressure force Maharashtra's tech industry to accelerate its focus even more intensely on deep tech products, on patents, on radical innovation, the heart of the RDI and GCC strategies, rather than simply competing on cheap labor against other states?
That's a fascinating question.
The future of Maharashtra's IT leadership may well depend on whether it can successfully transition from being the cheapest engine to being the most innovative one.